Ladies and gentlemen, Survivor Series has come to an end. The best of the best. That's what this Survivor Series was called this year. However, did it live up to the expectations of previous Survivor Series, specifically last year? Because at the end of the day, it is one of the biggest pay-per-views in WWE history, and we got to celebrate a legend in The Undertaker. But the pay-per-view itself, was it as good as others? We're going to find out what I think about this pay-per-view right now. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aiden Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today we have got a WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view reaction / grading. We're going to go through all of the matches that happen within the Survivor Series pay-per-view, give a grading of every single match, and of course, since it's Survivor Series, it is SmackDown, it is Raw, going head-to-head. We're going to have a little bit of a counter at the bottom of the screen to see just which brand won in the Survivor Series. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aiden Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below, did you think this Survivor Series fell short or lived up to the expectation of the Survivor Series pay-per-view? And how does it compare with recent Survivor Series pay-per-views of the past? Because this one, in my opinion, left it a little bit short, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying that this was a bad pay-per-view by any stretch of the means. When you have the star-studded pay-per-view like this one, you tend to say that it's a decent pay-per-view. However, the first thing that I need to say before I go into any matches was, where is NXT in this situation? You went from last year to having a 3-brand Survivor Series pay-per-view. It was unique, it was new, it was creative, and it ultimately tried to make every single brand equals. And if you're going to live up to that moniker of trying to make every single brand equal, you needed to have NXT in this. I'm sorry. It is as simple as that. Now, I'm not sure why they did it. I'm not sure if they didn't want to have too many wrestlers in the same sort of area at once. I can't tell you why NXT wasn't in there. Maybe there is something that I'm missing. But the one thing that should have always been at least discussed in some sort of way was NXT being within this Survivor Series pay-per-view. They have to be in it every year, and the fact that they missed out this year, I really didn't like, and that was the first thing that kind of made me believe this wasn't as good as last year's Survivor Series. Secondly, I think the matches, especially the elimination matches, were kind of second class compared to what the Survivor Series was all about. I mean, the Survivor Series elimination matches are supposed to be the heart and soul of the Survivor Series, and it kind of felt like they took a back seat to a lot of the other matches tonight. But again, I'll leave all of those in my match gradings, and I'll try to grade them as fairly as I possibly can. Keep in mind that these are matches that I'm grading and no one else is grading. So if other people do decide to grade differently than me, I hope you can accept that I don't see this matches the same as everybody else. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go into the first match. Of course, it's Raw versus SmackDown. So far, it's at the beginning of the show. It's 0-0 on the pre-show. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give this match a grading because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I definitely know who won. The Miz ended up winning a Battle Royale from Raw and SmackDown. Dominic was very, very close to winning for Team SmackDown, but The Miz, being a very smart individual that he is, managed to quickly get himself into the ring before he gets thrown out from the bottom rope. Technically not eliminated, eliminates Dominic when he thought he's won. Typical type of Battle Royale move. The Miz wins, and that is the first victory for Team Raw. They kick things off with a fiery start, and of course, that is a good way to secure it. Team Raw, in my opinion, for a lot of this, had a really good showing. I think Team SmackDown as well, especially towards the end and the single matches, etc. I feel neutral about this. I'm not going to grade it because I didn't watch it all. But we're going to kick it to the main show now, and the main show kicked it off with Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, the men's elimination tag team match, Survivor Series match. And this one was a bit lackluster, to be fair. Very, very lackluster. First things first, I think the competitors in this match might have not been the right fit. But again, I understand that there's not really much you can pick, especially on SmackDown side. So, yeah, look, Seth Rollins sacrificing himself, I mean, you could predict that within a click. As soon as you saw him walk out the way that he did, something was going to happen. He was either going to betray one of Team SmackDown's members or he was going to do what he did. And of course, he sacrificed himself for the greater good. And I thought this was the wrong time to do that. But again, Seth Rollins is going to do what he does. And since then, SmackDown pretty much just got absolutely dominated. Kevin Owens got eliminated. Jey Uso was the last sole survivor for SmackDown. It was basically the entire team on Jey Uso. Jey Uso didn't eliminate anyone. SmackDown got eliminated just like that, pretty much. No real fight. I mean, Otis put a good showing. Baron Corbin put a good showing. But overall, very lackluster match, to be honest. I'm going to give it a B minus because, of course, this is a unique type of match. You're not going to see matches like this very often. So that gets a bump in the gradings because it's probably the last time I'm going to see it for another year. So it was okay, but it could have been a lot better, man. And especially last year when they had the men's and the women's Survivor Series matches. I don't know, maybe it's just because there was 3 teams involved. It seemed a lot smoother. It seemed a lot better than this one. But fair enough. Team Raw won. Every single member of Team Raw were still in the match. Everybody was sole survivors. Team Raw gets the first victory for the main card of Survivor Series, which puts Raw to a 2-0 lead. And definitely going to give this match grading a B minus. That's where I thought it stood in the match rankings. Next up in the tag team division, we've got the Raw Tag Team Champions versus the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The New Day versus the Street Profits. Now, the New Day's entrance was, again, very unique. Of course, as a gamer myself, you tend to notice things like that, Gears of War, etc. But Street Profits, in my opinion, had a point to prove in this match. And it's not necessarily the carrying over of the torch, but it's more of the trying to establish the best tag teams. And the fact of the matter is, no matter what show, what brand, what company of wrestling you watch, the Street Profits and the New Day are one of, if not the best tag teams that wrestling has to offer right now. And that goes across all companies. And I think everybody can be in agreement with that. They might not be the absolute best, but they're definitely one of the best that wrestling has to offer. So the fact of the matter is that seeing a match like this, and this was a great match, by the way. This was a spectacular match. It started off very slowly, then it's kicked things into gear. I expected the match like this. It was very competitive. I didn't know who was going to win throughout it, so it kind of made me more gravitated towards the match. There were great moves, people stealing each other's finishing moves, and overall, the Street Profits were the winners. The Street Profits beat the New Day fair and square in the middle of the ring to kind of take over the torch or maybe solidify themselves as one of the best tag teams in the world, as the New Day still are. There's no knocking them off their torch right now. And SmackDown Live champions, the Street Profits, end up winning. And I'm going to give this match a B+. This is definitely in contention for match of the night. Of course, we have to get to more, and it isn't the match of the night for me, but it was a great tag team match. And again, you see these things from the New Day, you see these things from the Street Profits. They don't fail to deliver in most of their matches, and it worked very, very well for them here. Athletic display, athleticism all around, great wrestling as well. Very, very good tag team match. And this brings SmackDown back into the fray as we go 2-1. Raw is still winning, but can that continue? Well, next up, we have the United States Champion, Bobby Lashley, versus the Intercontinental Champion in Sami Zayn. Now, this match, in my opinion, was a match that wasn't necessarily in there to be a great match, but it was more of a match to show the two sides, the two characters. For example, Sami Zayn was trying everything in his power to try and get Bobby Lashley disqualified, pushing Cedric Alexander, getting tripped by MVP, trying to entice the Hurt Business to punch or hit Sami Zayn to get the disqualification. That is the type of character that Sami Zayn is. So this match made a lot of sense in that way. He also had a Vertigo flashback in a way from Bobby Lashley. It was a good match. It was a funny match, and Sami Zayn really worked very, very well in this match. Bobby Lashley was just what Bobby Lashley you'd expect. Was this the best match of the night? No. Was this a fun match to watch? Yes. Was it a short match? Yes. This did exactly what it's supposed to do. I didn't expect a 5-star thriller in this match. I didn't expect Sami Zayn to absolutely do backflips, haluva kicks, and all that sorts. He's not that type of wrestler right now when he's in this persona, in his character. He's a conspiracy theorist, and he was trying to work through all of his conspiracies. But the winner ended up being Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Lock. Sami Zayn had to tap out. Sami Zayn probably should have got the disqualification, in my opinion. I mean, come on, man. That's a clear trip, bro. I don't care what anybody says. That is a clear trip. MVP, absolutely not. Anyway, I'm going to give this match a B because it did what it was supposed to do. Look, some matches, if you're looking at the actual wrestling in this match, is probably one of the lowest, if not the lowest match there. But what it was supposed to do in terms of the actual characters, the story within the match, it did its job extremely well. And again, it makes Sami Zayn even more watchable than what he is. He's doing a great job right now, Sami Zayn, with his role. I'm not sure how long he'll be Intercontinental Champion for. Again, he's going to keep on doing these things. He's going to escape his matches. Eventually, he's going to lose. So we're going to wait and see when that happens. But Survivor Series was a losing point for Sami Zayn. And we see what happens within the next pay-per-view. I believe TLC. Surely Sami Zayn gets involved in that. Next up, we've got the women's champions coming together to compete. We've got Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion, versus Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion. Now, if I didn't mention it before, the score now is 3-1 to Raw. Can Sasha Banks Can Sasha Banks bring SmackDown back? Well, this match was a good match. Now, of course, when you expect Sasha Banks and Asuka in the ring, you're expecting a great match, and it turned out to be that, and it's definitely one of the contenders for match of the night. Far superior, in my opinion, than the tag team match, to be honest. But was this better than their SummerSlam match? And I don't think it was. I really don't think it was better than their SummerSlam match, but these women absolutely gave everything that they have. And again, this was a good wrestling match. You cannot ignore good wrestling, and this was good wrestling. Everything worked out very, very well. Asuka is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Sasha Banks is, of course, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Both of them are one of the best wrestlers in the world. So the fact of the matter is, when you put these two in the ring together, just like if you put Bayley and Asuka, you put Charlotte and Asuka, Becky Lynch and Asuka, same with Sasha Banks and Charlotte. You've seen all these matches before, and they never fail to disappoint majority of the time because they put everything into these matches. And yes, once again, Sasha Banks and Asuka had a great match. Good wrestling, good holds. There was ankle locks. There was bank statements, backstabbers. There was the hip attacks. There was a bunch of things in this match to be very proud of. So, I'm going to give this match an A-. I think it was that good. I can't remember what I gave the SummerSlam match, so maybe that could be a thing shot at me if I gave it less than what it was. Less than an A-. But I thought this match was not far away from that match. But I definitely think that they could have done a little bit more. But again, with Survivor Series, there is a lot more to pay attention to than just Sasha Banks and Asuka. But the winners of the match was Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks picked up the victory in I believe it was one of the roll-ups. They had a bunch of roll-ups in this match. And Sasha Banks ends up getting the win over one of them before getting kicked in the head. A reaction cover-up, 1, 2, 3. Sasha Banks is the winner. The SmackDown Women's Champion wins the match. And now the score is tied to 3-2. SmackDown is coming back. And I thought this was a very, very good match and one of the contenders for match of the night. Next thing we have is the Raw and SmackDown Women's Survivor Series match. And to be honest, this was weird. I think this was better than the I guess the men's one, but to be honest, this fell a little bit short as well. I mean, there wasn't that much time within this match to get everybody a good push, but a few standouts in this match that I really want to give credit to before we go any further. Very good shout out to the Australia's own Peyton Royce, eliminating Bayley. That is a big victory for her, even though she got eliminated pretty much seconds after to Natalya. Look, anytime that any wrestler beats Bayley, and especially because Bayley's been pushed to the moon, when someone pins Bayley, especially Peyton Royce, who has not really given a chance on Raw, it's a good sign that maybe she might get more opportunities on Raw in the future. And that's exactly what you want to see. Again, most of these women's wrestlers you don't believe can beat the likes of a Nia Jax or a Shayna Baszler because they don't push them enough to do that. And that's a big issue with the women's division at the moment. There's no real believability that someone can beat a Bayley or a Shayna Baszler or a Nia Jax or a Sasha Banks or an Asuka unless they're, of course, versing each other. So you need people like Peyton Royce to get good pushes. You need people like Liv Morgan, who, in my opinion, had a great showing in tonight's match. You need people like Lana, who... we'll get to that later, but Lana had a decent showing with the few amount of minutes that she had in the ring. You need more and more and more impressive showings from these women in order to establish a true defining women's division that can actually be believable, that people can be the champions, that Peyton Royce can eventually become the Raw Women's Champion, that Liv Morgan can eventually become the SmackDown Live Women's Champion. And that's what I saw as a good way, a good thing the WWE did, allowing some of these women to shine. But this match was it was okay. It was an okay match. Again, it was slightly better than the men's one, so I think I gave the men's one a B, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm going to give it a B+, this match, because it was slightly better. Very, very good spot with the suplex out of the ring from Peyton Royce and Bayley. And of course, you can't ignore Bianca Belair, you can't ignore Liv Morgan. Ruby Riott had a good showing, Shayna Baszler had a good showing. Yeah, this was a decent match. Again, it did fall short, and it did feel like it took a back seat to a lot of the other matches. Like the Sasha Banks and Asuka match felt more important than this match, and that's not what should happen. These matches should be the heart and soul of Survivor Series, yet we don't seem to understand. They didn't understand that concept today. It really felt like it took a back seat. It wasn't as hyped. It wasn't as grueling. It wasn't as entertaining. And again, I really think they missed the third NXT. I really think they missed that, because I think NXT would have helped carry these matches over the line and make it truly the heart and soul. They really missed something today. And that's where I'm getting my information. That's where I am at the moment. Yes, I'm giving these matches high ratings because I'm not going to see a match like that for another year. So I thought the match was okay, but since I'm not going to see it for a year, I'm boosting up the grading. And that might be wrong of me to do, but that's just how I feel at the matter. And of course, we're going to go to the main event now. The match of the night, by far the match of the night. Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion. Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion. Now Raw are up 4-2, so they've already won the show. But can Roman Reigns make it respectable? Well. This match was absolutely insane. This match had everything from old school style wrestlings to getting your moves in, to having the momentum swifts, to the quick style action, to the outside Samoan drops through the tables, spears through the barricades, and ultimately kicking out of a bunch of finishers. I mean, if you're a mark, if you're one of those people that get super excited when people kick out of those finishers left, right, and center, you're gonna like this match. Ultimately, this match was absolutely great, and it shows because these two have worked their way to becoming the most respected, the most fierce, and the most well-deserved champions in the WWE. Roman Reigns is the most hottest topic at the moment for the WWE. Absolutely doing wonders on SmackDown and showing again his force in this match. Drew McIntyre. I may not agree with Drew McIntyre being in this match because I really don't think Randy Orton should have ever lost the championship. But of course you understand why they did it, and he deserves to be in this match regardless. And he absolutely stood his ground and he held his own, and this match carried over to being one of the better matches on the show, the best match on the show, and one of the best matches I've seen this year. Now, these two, they're great wrestlers. I mean, they've carried wrestling this year for a lot of the time. So you can't look at this match and say this was an average match. This was a world-class match that should have been the main event of Survivor Series. Survivor Series deserve main events like this, and I'm happy that no matter how lackluster the other matches prior were, this match stood out and this match stole the show. Now, of course, the ending of the match, people might not like the fact that Jey Uso interfered, but it makes sense for Jey Uso to interfere. He's trying to prove his worth to the bloodline, to the family. And the fact of the matter is he did that. He helped Roman Reigns win that match. I'm giving that match an A. I don't think it was a perfect match, but I do think that's as close as perfect as you might get within this year. Was a fantastic match tonight from Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Held their own, went the distance, and made this pay-per-view a lot better than what I thought it would be. So that's it for the Survivor Series show. The scoreline for Raw and SmackDown was 4-3, I believe. So the winners of the show, Survivor Series, was Raw. Despite SmackDown having the last laugh, Raw ended up being the most dominating brand on the show. So congratulations to Monday Night Raw. They do have the most talent. They do seem to have the better roster at the moment. And they're probably having the better show despite Roman Reigns being obviously the best wrestler at the moment right now in WWE. So the reality is that Raw probably deserved to win this, and Raw won it pretty convincingly. Both the Raw and the SmackDown Survivor Series matches were dominated by Raw, and of course Bobby Lashley dominated. You had a bunch of superstars dominate, but SmackDown did end up holding their own throughout the show. Again, NXT was a big miss. If I had to give this pay-per-view a grade, it's going to be a B+. Now look, that's a very good score compared to other scores I've given shows like Survivor Series, SummerSlam, maybe Hell in a Cell, and like Payback, Night of Champions, etc. Like those are the type of pay-per-views where you expect, yeah, that's a B show. I did not expect a B+ from Survivor Series. Survivor Series is one of the best and biggest pay-per-views in WWE. It deserves to be a lot more than a B+. It should be within the A's. It's an A type of pay-per-view. And I don't think it was treated like that for the majority of the time. The main event made this an A show if you want to put it in the A grade. But besides that, not many at all matches tonight got an A. And a lot of other pay-per-views that I have put at least had two A grade matches in there. But this one, unfortunately, I don't know what to say. It's a B+ pay-per-view at the moment. That's where I'm sitting. Now that that's out the way, because I'm not counting the last segment as part of the Survivor Series wrestling show. This was a whole show in itself. The 30 years of The Undertaker, the celebration of The Undertaker, the retirement of The Undertaker. Now, I've made a lot of videos on The Undertaker. I've made a lot of videos of his legacy. I put reviews of the Last Ride documentary on my YouTube channel. I've done a lot to pay my respects for The Undertaker in the ways that I can as a fan. This was a very good way to send him off. Now, to be honest, looking at The Undertaker, you could tell that he's trying to keep those emotions in. I mean, it's 30 years. It's 30 years of one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's 30 years of one of the best characters in the world. One of the most heart and passion and soul and leadership people within the WWE is going to be leaving them in terms of the wrestling business. And that is something that you simply cannot ignore. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer. He's probably going to be... He could be multiple-time Hall of Famers with the Brothers of Destruction. So he could end up being a 2-time Hall of Famer. He's definitely one of the biggest sports athletes to ever set foot on the face of the earth. One of the most popular sports athletes to step foot on the face of the earth. And I think it's fair to say that this was the perfect way to send him off on the pay-per-view that he debuted with, the pay-per-view that he's going to leave with. You saw some of the best wrestlers as well to ever step foot in the ring come down to the ring before The Undertaker arrived to give their thanks to The Undertaker. People like Kevin Nash, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy, JBL, the Phineas Twins, I'm pretty sure that's their name. The Godwins, that's the one. There was so many people. There were so many people. And of course, his brother Kane, the last one to enter. Of course, there would mean no saying goodbye without bringing Kane into the mix. And of course, Undertaker, with his final words in the WWE, it is time to let The Undertaker rest in peace. And then the big pose with Paul Bearer as the one holding the urn. That is the perfect way to send off one of the best wrestlers in the world with Paul Bearer. Rest in peace, Paul Bearer. Now, of course, The Undertaker, there's nothing more I need to say. What a true WWE wrestler, what a true entertainer, what a true icon, what a true legend. he will never, ever, ever be forgotten within the WWE. I mean, in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, in 100 years' time, The Undertaker will always be remembered. And he will definitely be one of the best to ever step forward, no matter who comes before or after him. He is definitely one of the best, and he cements his legacy as the top dog in WWE. So I hope to see more of these type of goodbyes for a lot of these wrestlers, these older wrestlers that still have yet to announce their retirement. I really think they should do this for Kane. I mean, Kane is one of the most underrated WWE superstars of all time. And I really think they should do a very similar thing with Kane. Obviously, the Big Show, John Cena. I mean, John Cena hasn't officially announced his retirement, but surely with the way that his career is heading in the acting business, it's gonna be sooner or later for John Cena. I hope they do the same things with these types of wrestlers, and they deserve the world. They deserve the world. And thank you to The Undertaker. Thank you to all those wrestlers that did come to say goodbye. And I can't wait to see what will happen in the future. The future is always the brightest in terms of wrestling and all sports, really. You always look forward to the future of how things can progress, but that doesn't ever mean that you don't look back at the past, or you don't look back at the present. You don't think about the present and say, this is the best that you could ever have. And The Undertaker is definitely one of those. So thank you guys for watching this Survivor Series pay-per-view reaction slash gradings of the matches. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Take care and peace.